Jaya Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Nitai Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivijakacharya Ashtottara Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantra Srimad-Bhagavatam Ki Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, Text number 6. Chapter entitled The Renunciation of Kardama Muni. Please repeat the verse. Yagnegniva daruni Yagnegniva daruni Tasyam bahutithe kale Bhagavan Madhusudanaha Kardamam Viryamapanno Yagnegniva daruni Tasyam bahutithe kale Bhagavan Madhusudanaha Kardamam Viryamapanno Yagnegniva daruni. Word to word meaning. Tasyam in Devahuti. Bahutithe kale after many years. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Madhusudanaha, the killer of the demon Madhu. Kardamam, of Kardama. Viryam, the semen. Apannaha, entered. Jagne, he appeared. Agnihi, fire. Eva like Daruni in wood. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. After many, many years, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhusudana, the killer of the demon Madhu, having entered the semen of Kardama, appeared in Devahuti just as fire comes from wood in a sacrifice. Purport. It is clearly stated here that the Lord is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he appeared as the son of Kardama Muni. Fire is already present in wood, but by a certain process, fire is kindled. Similarly, God is all-pervading. He is everywhere, and since he may come out from everything, he appeared in his devotees' semen. Just as an ordinary living entity takes his birth by taking shelter of the semen of a certain living entity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts the shelter of the semen of his devotee and comes out as his son. Thus, this manifests his full independence to act in any way, and it does not mean that he is an ordinary living entity forced to take birth in a certain type of womb. Lord Narasimha appeared from the pillar of Hiranyak like an ordinary living entity from the semen of Kardama Muni in the womb of Devahuti. Please repeat the translation. After many, many years, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhusudana, the killer of the demon Madhu, having entered the semen of Kardama, appeared in Devahuti just as fire comes from wood in a sacrifice. That ends the Bhakti-vedanta purpose. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swamin-niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this chapter, the renunciation of Kardama Muni, the previous chapter, Devahuti's lamentation. We must have all heard that Devahuti was lamenting that she got such a wonderful opportunity to associate with such a great personality, her husband, Kardama Muni, but she did not take the advantage of engaging in devotional service. Instead, she engaged in activities of gratifying the senses. Kardama created a wonderful palace in the air, Akasha Vimana, it's all wonderful things. And she enjoyed that, and she failed to take the benefit of the association of a great personality who was none other than her own husband. So that was the lamentation that Devahuti had. And so she was lamenting like that and praying to her husband that to please, and then we will see how the husband says that, this in the few verses before this, the husband says, you need not worry. Now you will, because Devotee had served, no matter what, Devotee had served her husband, and she had served her husband, a devotee of Lord Krishna, with heart and soul. She had served her husband so well that Shri Krishna Rukmani Satyabhama ki, Krishna Balram ki, Nitai Gauranga ki, who has nothing with him, his material life is this, tell him to take some austerity, he won't mind taking some austerity, because anyway his life is naturally like that. His karma is so bad that he's forced to take austerity, and it's natural. But no, Devaki was princess of Manu, such a great personality, but she voluntarily took up so much of austerities just to serve her husband. So it was a great act of devotional service that Devhuti had done. And so Kardama recognized that, and because Kardama was also a personality, the Lord chose to appear as the son of Kardama and Devhuti. So they had performed enough tapasya to be able to qualify themselves to have Lord taken birth from their womb. So the point to be noted is tapasya in spiritual life also, tapasya is required, austerity is required. Without austerity, we cannot get Krishna. And our austerity is very simple, chanting Hare Krishna, following the four graded principles. So our austerity is not something very difficult, but we have to follow them strictly. So now here, two important points Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport. The first point, which practically covering the entire purport and the translation, is that the Lord, although he chose to be born from the womb of Devaki or Devahuti, and having entered the semen of Kardama and then entered the womb of Devahuti, we should not take Krishna's birth or the Supreme Personality of God's birth as ordinary. And repeatedly in the entire purport, if you would have seen, Prabhupada is going on mentioning this, how God's birth, the birth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So who was born? Lord Kapila was born. He is not an ordinary person. So why is Prabhupada so many times stressing this? Practically the whole of purport Prabhupada is stressing this, that he is not an ordinary person, because it is appearing that he is being born from an ordinary birth from a womb of the mother. So it's because in today's day and age, this is a common misconception that people have. They think Vishnu is the supreme, and what to talk of Kapila, even Lord Krishna is, yes, he is an incarnation. That is the maximum that they can go to, but he is not the supreme. The supreme is Lord Vishnu, because actually if you see, there is no mention in any Shastra about the birth of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu was born from the womb of a mother, because the Mahavishnu is, is expansion, and he always existed in the universe, lying down on the causal water as Karanadakshay Vishnu, Mahavishnu. So Vishnu is the supreme. But Krishna, he took birth, so maybe some incarnation. But no. So here if you see in the translation and the purport, two important words are used to prove that it is not that he is just an ordinary personality. He is the God. So the two words used here are, one is apannaha, entered, and the other is jagne. They are one after the other. That is, he appeared. So Krishna, enter means what? If I am entering somewhere, something is entering something, means that something is already existing. Then only he can enter. Right? So he is saying the Lord entered. That means the Lord is always existing. And he entered where? Into the semen of Kardama. And after having entered, he has to appear somewhere. So the next word uses, he appeared from the womb of Devaki. So very carefully chosen words by Vasudeva to prove that Krishna's birth is not ordinary. He just appears. He's always existing. And he made his appearance. We did not exist in this body. Of course, the soul is existing, but this body didn't exist. It came into existence only when we were born from our mother's womb. But Krishna is always existing. God is always existing, and in same transcendental form, he descends, he enters into the mother's womb, and he appears from the mother's womb. And the best example that Srila Prabhupada gave, how Lord's birth is transcendental and is not ordinary, the rising and the setting of the sun. When the sun rises every day from the eastern horizon, you will not say, oh, the sun has just taken birth. The sun has just appeared from the eastern horizon. The sun was always existing. And similarly, when the sun is setting in the western horizon, the sun is dead and gone? No, the sun has disappeared from your eyesight. But the sun is eternally existing. So Krishna's appearance and disappearance, Lord's appearance and disappearance is also like that. He appears at a certain instance and disappears, but his leelas are going on eternally. Just like Lord Krishna appeared, just like Kapila appeared, here it is mentioned that God is all pervading. He is everywhere, and since he may come out from everything, because the Lord is everywhere, he can come out from everything. So he appeared in his devotee semen. There are three very good examples here mentioned in the purport, that how to prove that although he appears in these mystical ways, he is still God. Narsimhadev appearing from the pillar. So which is more powerful, Narsimha or the pillar? It is still Narsimha which is more powerful. It is not that the pillar has become more powerful. No. And the second example is Varahadev. See how wonderful. This is called God's Leelas. And as devotees, they relish such Leelas. Varahadev came out of the nostril of Brahma. And Brahma was wondering, what came out of my nostril? He himself was confused, was bewildered. Something wonderful came out. And then it came out and instantly started growing big. You see how wonderful it is? So that was the appearance. And then similarly, Kardama Muni and Devahuti's son, Lord Kapil also came out so wonderfully in this process. So Krishna's birth also, if you see, it was something wonderful. How did Krishna appear? Krishna was even more wonderful. Krishna, he first made his appearance in the mind, in the heart of Vasudeva. And then from the heart of Vasudeva, from the mind of Vasudeva, he transferred himself to the mind of Devaki. And then from Devaki, Krishna appeared. When Krishna was in Devaki, at that time Devaki became extraordinarily beautiful. And when Kamsa was coming to visit, when is the birth of this next child? And when Devaki bore many children, like 6 children were killed by Kamsa, and the 7th was an arrangement by Yogamaya, he was transferred. But all the time that Devaki bore children, she was not appearing so beautiful, so effulgent as she became when she bore Krishna in her womb. She had become extraordinarily effulgent, extraordinarily beautiful. And Kamsa realized, yes, now the Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken place, is residing in the womb of my sister, because she has become. So you see, and God also, and then when Krishna appeared out of Devaki's womb, he immediately, because he appeared as a small child, but just to give confidence to Devaki and Vasudeva that he is no ordinary personality, he showed his 4-handed form. We have never heard of a small child displaying his 4-handed form at birth. And he displayed his 4-handed form, clad with jewelry, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, all these things. So this proves, so that is why Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam. When I descend in this human form, like Kapila is descending in the human form, Krishna descended in the human form. So Avajananti, Mam Mudha. Mudha means those who are not intelligent, those who are fools, those who have no knowledge of the scriptures. Mam Avajanant. They do not know me. Manushim Tanumashritam. Because I have taken shelter of a body like a human being. Manushim Tanum. But he says, although I appear in this human body, Parambhava Majanantaha. His bhava, his nature is completely different. Parambhava Majananta, Mama Bhuta. And then he says he belongs to a completely different transcendental nature altogether. So Krishna maintains his complete transcendental position even when he appears in this human form of life. And this is exactly what Prabhupada is writing in this entire purport. Lord is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he appeared as the son of Kardama Muni. Again he says, the Lord is always the Lord. He is Bhagavan Madhusudana. So, in Bhagavad-gita, in yet another place of the very famous verse which Prabhupada frequently quoted, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna. Janma karma chame divyam. Krishna's birth and Krishna's janma karma, actions, activities are all transcendental. Evam yo vetti tatvatah. And one who knows this in truth. Tyaktva deham punar. Two wonderful benefits. If we can understand Krishna's position, Krishna's transcendental nature in truth, punarjanma naiti, mameti, there will be no more rebirth. Mameti, we will go back to the spiritual world. That is why Prabhupada gave us so many scriptures. Krishna, he spoke 700 verses in the Gita. What is the essence of the Gita? Who can say? What is the summary of the Gita in one word? What is the summary of 700 verses in 2 words? Bhakti Yoga, okay. So what is Bhakti Yoga? Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's the right answer, but there's another one like Prabhupada says. Surrender. That is the one word summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Surrender to me. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So now the question is, if we have to surrender, if that is all what Krishna wanted to say, why did he speak 700 verses? He could have just said that in the beginning, Arjuna, and because Arjuna knows he is God, he could have just said it in the beginning, surrender to me. Why he has to speak 700 verses? Why did he speak 700 verses? Why so long? Because you will not surrender to a person unless and until you know how great that personality is. We are not surrendering even after hearing it so many times. So this just shows. And that is why another 18,000 verses is there just to convince us. So Krishna spoke so that we understand his glory, so that we understand his greatness, so that we understand his opulence, so that we understand his qualities, so that we understand he is not an ordinary person. He is demanding surrender. He is the only person fit to receive our surrender. And when Krishna goes on speaking so much, I am this, I am that, matta parataram nanya, there is no one superior to me, bhoktaram yagna tapasam, I am the master of everything. So yes, I will surrender. So Krishna is not an ordinary personality. He is a transcendental personality. So that transcendental personality is descending, and we must understand him in that manner. Then Janma Karma Chame Divyam, understanding that he is transcendental. Evam Yoveti Tatvata Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti. So understanding Krishna's birth and Krishna's karma, they are completely, so that is why to understand Krishna's janma, to understand Krishna's karma, Krishna spoke the 700 verses to help us to understand, and Prabhupada further elaborated so nicely for us to understand it. His actions are also like, people generally they misunderstand Krishna, or they think Krishna to some stories. They consider Krishna's pastime to be some stories. It is not stories. Here, about the Krishna killing the demon. He is the killer of all kinds of demon, and he always remains the Lord. How can I kill somebody and still be the Supreme Lord? Killing is not considered, but he is killing the demons. And where are the demons going? You see, so how Janma Karma Chame Divyam, how Krishna's actions, activities are also transcendental. He killed Putana. Putana was such a demon that when she was killed, you know how long the body of Putana was? 12 kilometers long. That was the size of Putana's body. And he killed it because she was a demon. But after killing, what was the result that Putana got? Putana got the same destination as Mother Yashoda. Can you imagine? Demon who came to kill the Supreme Lord, but Lord is so merciful, so kind. No, after all, she came to feed me milk. Actually, she came to feed poisoned milk. But the Lord is not considering that. You see how merciful the Lord is? No, after all, she came to feed me milk. So, I will give her the same position that I gave it to Mother Yashoda. Just imagine His mercy. Same position, I'll liberate her also, like Mother Yashoda will get liberated. And we are so blessed, we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's even mercy personified. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is said, Dosha nahi dekhe Prabhu, guna matra loya. Will you get a personality like this? And this is exactly the kind of thinking that we should also develop. Dosha nahi dekhe Prabhu, guna matra loya. Mane, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not see the dosha, does not see the fault in a person. All that he sees is guna matra loya. So these are the wonderful Janma Karma Chame, these are wonderful transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. When we chant this Hare Krishna mantra, for chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, there are 10 offenses. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that when you chant the Panchatattva mantra, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, there are no offenses in the Panchatattva mantra at all. See, both are mantras, both mantras we chant, but there is no offenses. You can't chant, you can't be offensive in chanting the Panchatattva mantra. That is why that mantra has to be chanted between the two mantras, between the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and that. So this is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He doesn't see the fault at all. So similarly, Krishna, you see how this picture, so beautiful. Krishna is serving Sudama. Of course, Sudama was a great devotee, but his actions are, this is another example of karma divyam, transcendental pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He lifted the Govardhan hill and 7 years, for 7 days, no thirst, no hunger. Even the animals were protected. Even the animals did not feel thirsty and hungry. Another wonderful demonstration of his wonderful pastime. So this is the first point that Prabhupada is elaborating, that God's birth is transcendental and He is always the Supreme Lord, although He may appear to take birth in an ordinary way. The second thing is, the second point that comes out here, the word kardamam is significant, for it indicates that the Lord had some devotional affection or relationship in devotional service with Kardama and Devahuti. So why did Lord's birth is not ordinary, we understand. Why did Lord choose Kardama and Devahuti? For the one single reason. And what is that? The Lord had some devotional affection or relationship in devotional service with these two devotees. So this is our goal in life. Everything else is secondary. How can I become a nice devotee and revive that devotional relationship that I actually had with Lord? Jiver Swarup hoy Nitya Krishna Das. We are eternally servants of God and we are eternally very intimately connected with God. We just don't have a connection. It's like you see the connection of a child with his mother. It's not just an ordinary connection, the child with the mother and the father. It's a very intimate connection. Similarly, we should also feel this should give us so much of happiness, so much of good feeling. I have a father and mother with whom I am so closely connected. Just like a child who is lost, how much he'll be hankering to meet his father and mother. So because that relationship is lost now, we are suffering. Prabhupada uses one word to describe this. Means that's the meaning of the word obnoxious. Don't even talk about it. Don't even. So what is the most obnoxious misery? Forgetfulness of Krishna. That is a misery that supersedes, and is because of forgetting Krishna, we are going through birth, death, old age, disease, and Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, Adhyatmik, and all these kleshas. So, we had a very close, intimate relationship with Krishna, but because of this misery called forgetfulness, we have forgotten that, and that is why we are suffering. So, the goal of human form of life is how to re-establish that relationship, and all our energy, all our effort should be concentrated in that. Everything else is secondary. And this can be done only in this human form of life. That is why Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Kaumaram acharet pragno. Only the intelligent person at the right, because this is such an important, imagine if we miss this opportunity in this life. We have failed in the mission of life. It is the mission of life. These are the words Prabhupada uses. Human life's mission, human life's ultimate goal. We all have some mission, we all have some goal in life. But the goal and mission in life is to go back to the spiritual world, to reestablish our relationship with Him. And we should not miss that. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, right from the age of 5, this education should begin. Dharman Bhagavatam here. Durlabham Manusham Janma. This human form of life is very, very rare. Tad api adhruvam arthadam. Although this human form of life is very short, but it is very, very meaningful. Everywhere in the Bhagavatam, everywhere, even in the Bhagavad-gita, so many times Krishna is speaking about this. Reestablish your relation, you have to reestablish your relationship with me. And because to reestablish a relation, because we have forgotten 700 verses of Bhagavad-gita, 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam, so many verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita, all to reestablish our relationship. In the Bhagavatam, another verse it says, Labdhva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavante. This verse speaks of many things, very essential things that we must remember. Labdhva, it is saying, we have obtained sudurlabha. Durlabha means rare. Sudurlabha means very, very rare. Labdhva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavante. And we have obtained this rare human, and what is that? It's talking about the human life. Bahu sambhavante means after many, 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 many years. We don't know, just like you see. So, labdhva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavante manushyam arthadam anityam apidhiraha. Which is that, what is the rare thing that we have obtained? Manushyam, this human form of life. Manushyam anityam arthadam. It is very temporary, but it is very meaningful. And having, actually if you see, did we endeavor to get this human form of life? Any one of us put in an endeavor? Nothing we put in an endeavor. Automatically we got it. You see, automatically we got it. Now we should not waste it. We don't realize the gift that we have received, this human form of life. Manushyam anityam arthadam anityam apidhi. So it says dhiraha. So after having obtained this so easily, after having obtained this which is so difficult to obtain, so easily after having obtained it, what an intelligent person should do? Dhiraha. Dhira means intelligent, sober person should do. Turnam yateta. Two very important words. Turnam yateta napatet anumrittu yavat. Turnam means very quickly, very hastily, with great speed, without waiting, immediately. We should do something. That is the urgency. And one thing is to do it with great speed quickly. And the other thing is Turnam Yateta. The second word is Yateta. Yateta means not only quickly with great speed and with full endeavor. Yateta means with full endeavor. So with full endeavor, and okay, if this requires a lot of endeavor, I will do it when I have time. Now, no, you have to do it right now with full endeavor. Turnam yateta napatet anumrittu yavat. And you can do this only as long as you are living. You cannot do it after you are dead, because this can be done only in this human form of life. And can anybody say how long I am going to live? Prabhupada says Parikshit Maharaj had 7 days notice period. We don't have even that much time. We think, oh, I'm going to live for a long time. That's a common thinking. We don't realize anytime, any moment, anything can happen. Just it is something that had happened. I heard it was where we were staying in Kolkata. There was a very close family a close kind of a family members of ours, and they had built a new house. An occasion for rejoicement, an occasion to enjoy, and they were planning the Griha Pravesha of that house. So everyone was in a very happy mood. 3 children were there, full, very nice family, very loving family, close family. So the father went to buy some items for puja samagri, and because the Havan is going to happen, and then the father has gone, the father has not come back. He should have returned by then, and one of the family members get a call, and the call was that the father was going with some bag with some puja, and he was just, it looks like one vehicle came and slightly knocked him. Crowded street it was, and the father fell off. And so they rushed him to the hospital. This is a real story. I heard it. It came as a shock news for all of us because we knew them so well. Rushed to the hospital. There was a blood clot in the brain, and doctor said next 24 hours is very, very crucial, very critical. Depending upon how he responds, everything is decided. Everything is in the hand of God. Even the doctor said that. And unfortunately, that's what was the plan of the Lord. he passed away. Just see, 3 children and what has happened. Totally, something which couldn't have been imagined by anyone. So this is human. Any time, any moment may happen. So this verse is saying, Turnam yateta anu. As long as we are not dead, what we should do? Nishreyasaya. Nishreyas. Shreya means endeavor for that which can be done only in this human form of life. Shreyas means the ultimate good. That means re-establishing a relationship with Krishna. Nishreyasaya. Because if we are not doing that, then what are we doing? Vishayaha, Nishreyashaya. Vishaya means gratifying. There are only 2 things that we can do in this life. Gratify our senses or serve Krishna. Gratify Krishna's senses. That's all. So if you're not satisfying Krishna, we are satisfying our senses. And this verse very nicely it says, Vishayaha khalu sarvata syat. This sense gratification, because we are generally attracted for the sense gratification. So we should remind ourselves, this verse is saying, this sense gratification is always available in all forms of life. So don't think you're missing out something. And it will be available in the next life also. It was available in the previous life. So sometimes people may think, oh, I have to do bhakti. That means I have to avoid enjoying my senses. I have to avoid sense gratification and all this. So I may miss out on something. No, you never missed out, and you will not miss out also. Next life also you will get the sense gratification in case you have devotional fire inside us, because by this I will be able to establish a wonderful intimate, I will be able to, relationship is already there, re-establish that wonderful devotional relationship. If you see in the world today, everybody is trying to, what is the rasa, what is the real taste in life? The real taste in life is wonderful exchanges with others, right? It is the relationship that we enjoy with others is what matters to us the most. Material enjoyment is eating, sleeping, and all these things are there. But the real thing is my loving exchanges with people. So we are children of Krishna. Our goal in life is to, is to relish, and that the relish that is the taste that is available in that relationship with Krishna is no ordinary thing. And only by devotional service we'll be able to taste it. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yasyasmi tatvata. Bhaktya mam, only by bhakti you can know me. Many places in the Bhagavad-gita Krishna is saying, Bhaktya tva ananyaya shakya aham evam vidho Arjuna. When Krishna showed the universal form to Arjuna, what did Krishna say to Arjuna? Bhaktya, only because you're a devotee, tva ananyaya, and by no other method you can know me. Even Krishna is saying, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Everywhere. Actually, Bhagavad-gita, if somebody reads nicely, different people will come to different conclusions. But actually, if you read, Bhaktya mam abhijanati, Bhaktya tu ananyaya shakya, Bhaktya stvam paryupasate, Yome bhaktya prayachati. All different places Prabhupada. So Bhagavad-gita is actually Bhakti Yoga. That is what Krishna is stressing. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. Again Bhakta is there. You'll find so many occurrences where Krishna is constantly telling Arjuna, become my devotee. Become my devotee. Because by becoming devotees of Krishna, we will be able to relish that intimate relationship with Krishna. And that is what we are actually hankering after. It's like a child is hankering after mother's association, after mother's affection. That is the only thing that will please the child. A child is crying. Okay, crying. Nobody knows why the child is crying. Different people are taking the child on the lap. Child is not stopping. Somebody is giving lollipop. Somebody is giving this. Somebody is trying to pat him. Somebody is trying to... Nothing is going to satisfy the child. The moment mother comes and takes the child on the lap, immediately stops crying. Why? So many people also came, na? And so many people gave also so many things. But no, only when the mother picks up the child, even though the mother may not give anything, Mother's picking up is everything. Similarly, we have fallen into the ocean. We have to cry for the Lord so that the Lord picks us up and places us in His devotional service. That's the only thing that is going to satisfy us. And we have to work for this. It's not so easy. To rekindle that devotional sentiment is not so easy. We have to very seriously engage in devotional service so that we'll be able to, cleanse ourselves. And so the serious thing is chanting. Chanting is a very, very powerful method, but the chanting has to be done with all seriousness. And we should have this faith, this conviction that chanting can liberate me. Prabhupada writes, the power of chanting. Chanting can completely cleanse the core of the heart from all contamination. See, chanting can not only cleanse, it can completely cleanse. And what it can completely cleanse? The core of the heart. All the anarthas are inside, in the core of the heart. The chanting can cleanse that completely. So if you want to reestablish that relationship, all these devotional methods, especially this chanting of Hare Krishna, has to be taken very, very seriously. So these are the few things that is being discussed in this chapter. Anybody has any questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Like Krishna Janma and his activities are like mysterious and guhyam. So how they are guhyam and mysterious? If that is the case, how they are mysterious and guhyam in nature. If that is the case, how ordinary man can understand them?
How, if it is guhya in nature, how an ordinary man can understand? So, although it is guhya for those who are not wishing to accept the knowledge that Krishna is giving in humility and following the process, then the guhya gyan will not be revealed. But if somebody becomes a devotee of Krishna, becomes humble and submissive, is willing to follow the advice as given by the spiritual master, this guhya jnana will be revealed. Just like, see, Arjuna, how was it revealed? Arjuna's qualification was, he was a devotee. So for non-devotees, Krishna is a guhya. But for devotees, the guhya Krishna is willing to be revealed if you are a devotee. So we just have to become humble, submissive devotees. If you become submissive, if you become, just like you see, one child, one son is, father has got a big property, very big property, but the son is not a very humble and submissive son. You think the father will give that property to him? The father will be worried, my son will, he will blow away the entire property. But if the son becomes very submissive, very humble, and the son agrees to follow the instruction of the father, father wants to give the property. What will the father do with the property? He has to give it to the son. It's the attitude of the son that determines whether the father is going to give him that property or not. Like you see, you will share secret with only someone in whom you have confidence, right? If you have confidence in someone, you will share the secret. Similarly, we have to become qualified to be able to come to that position where Krishna has confidence and He gives it to us. We are all Krishna's children only. So we just have to become humble and submissive. The kingdom of God belongs to the humble and meek. And humble and meek, everybody can become. That's why Mahaprabhu said this verse, Trinadapi Shunichena Taroriva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada. Amanina Manadena Trinadapi Shunichena Sahishnuna. Mahaprabhu said this verse, you have to tie it around your neck. Never forget it. Then Guhya Jnana will be revealed. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. What is meant by devotional transcendental service transcendental means transcendental faith service. How can I go with that stage?
Sorry, I'm not able to hear what you said. Yeah.
Transcendental devotional service.
Ha.
How can I do for my Guru Maharaj?
How can you do transcendental devotional service for your Guru Maharaj? How can I understood? I got your question. Thank you. Suppose I want to do devotional service for you, right? How will I do seva to you? I don't know. I simply have to follow your advice. I have to do that which pleases you, right? That's the best way. If I have to do seva to you, seva should result in pleasing you. And how do I please you? I should know what your desires are and I should follow that. So similarly, transcendental devotional service to the Guru Maharaj has to be done by pleasing or following the directions of the Guru Maharaj. And Prabhupada has given us all the direction. Chanting 16 rounds, following the regulative principles, serving Krishna with our mind intelligence, and attending temple program, reading Bhagavatam, Shravanam, so many different things are there. So simply if we engage in those things, you are pleasing your Guru Maharaj. Grantra Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanand.